Hello, everyone. This is Ted Check, Public Relations Manager for the International Foundation for Protection Officers. I'm here with Dr. Linda Florence. She is the chair of the board for the IFPO. Doctor, how are you doing?
Hello, I'm doing very well. Thank you. How are you today?
Great. I'm doing great. Yeah, it's great to have you on here. I wanted to say congratulations. It's been a few months since you were appointed, to the helm of the board. How's it been going for you so far?
It's quite an honor. Yes, I was appointed the end of last year after a couple of years as a board member. So far, very good. Yeah, we've had a productive few months. Not surprising. We have a very diverse and strong board.
Yeah, and you said productive. Of course, we have to talk about, or at least mention the security research project. I mean, that was the big thing, and continues to be as Dr. Martin Gill of Perpetuity Research. He's getting close to distributing surveys so that he can hear from security officers all around the world. So that's really exciting.
Yeah, it's a very exciting initiative of something, as you know, that's never been done before, at least at this magnitude. So as you said, we've partnered with Perpetuity Research and Martin Gill and also Dr. Glenn Kitteringham. Pardon me, Glenn's dissertation research was actually based on this premise of the roles and responsibilities of security officers. So we used a lot of his academic research from which to build the basis of the research project. And the surveys themselves has been built. The instrument that we will use to collect the data is going out in a couple of weeks. And so then the data collection will occur over the spring and summer. And then they'll gather the results and start analyzing the information. And we should have something, we're hoping to have at least a preliminary, if not a final report in time for the fall in conjunction with GSX, or whether it's virtual or in person. We're hoping to have a presentation and the ability to distribute the results by then.
That's great. That is fantastic. Well, we're in the midst of Women's History Month, and Monday was International Women's Day. So that's a great thing. And if you look at the history of women in security, some glass ceilings no doubt have been broken, but there's a ways to go. Where do you see the future of women in security? Where do you see it going?
Well, let me preface this by saying that I think that Women's History Month is really just our history. We are just part of all over history. It's just a matter of shining a light on that aspect of our history rather than segregating. It's more of amalgamating. Right. And for women in security, that's become kind of a term that's been coined because women in this field are just now, I think, not only being recognized, but starting to come on in their own in terms of understanding there is a profession here, that there's actually a career path here. And I don't think it's only just women. It's just that it has to be spread to all aspects of the population, because security as a profession is actually a reflection of society, with women being a part of that. So it's just, yeah, I mean, our profession and what we do, right, is in response to society. It changes the roles and responsibilities. So populations and how that reflects the population is the same type of thing, right? So if women are 50% of the population, then theoretically you would have 50% of women in the workforce. That's not always the case because it's just distributed differently. But historically, it was, men in the workplace. So it's going to take a while. And it may not ever change necessarily because people make choices about their careers. So it's more of a matter of showing not only women, but everyone that this is an actual profession, and professionalization, if you will, of security. There's always an ongoing debate. Is it an industry? Is it a profession? Is it both? Right. And showing people that it is a, a viable professional career path. And that said, I think it's less attractive sometimes to women because there's still that stigma to the population, the general population, of the guards, guns, and gates. Right, and that's certainly an aspect, right? I mean, that's part of what we do, part of what the profession covers, but there's, that's the stigma that's attached to it. Now, that said, a lot of us started there, 18 years old. That's kind of where you start sometimes. Right, and that's the career path for many of us, is starting, in that traditional front lines type of guard post position. And we certainly need hundreds of people that do that, thousands of people that do that. And that's not necessarily so attractive to women coming into the profession necessarily. So it has to be more of a career path where we show not only women again, but everyone that there is a progression, that there is a place to go. And it's not necessarily just guards and guns and gates. And you don't have to start there. There are so many other ways to get into this profession because it's so diverse with so many different skill sets. And it's, it really is more about enterprise risk management and the soft skills, not just the I'll say the hard skills, the guards and the guns and the gates. That's absolutely an aspect of it, but it's the understanding that that's not the only part of it.
And I would imagine that you've mentored women over the years, and that's probably something that you stress to them. Hey, there's a whole big world out there. It's not just as observe and report. Stand at the guard shack.
Right. Right.
That type of thing. I would imagine that's the message that you communicate to them.
Absolutely, I've mentored numerous women and some gentlemen as well. Actually, on International Women's Day, I received two unsolicited messages from people that I had mentored over the years from a very long time ago that worked for me. Absolutely made my day, made my week. That just out of the blue, I get a note that said, thank you for being such an integral part of my career, for giving me a chance. And great. Yeah, absolutely. I get goosebumps. I mean, that's why we do it, right? That's the best thing about being a leader, is knowing that you influence someone else in a very positive way. So being in a position to mentor someone, I think is part of our responsibility. When you are one of those, as you said, your words, the ones that shatter the glass ceiling, and you're lucky enough to be in those positions, like with Bonnie Michaelman and Sandy Davis, those of us who have been recognized by our peers and honored by the profession. We have an obligation to bring others along with us, men or women. Women in particular, you do mentor a little bit differently, and hopefully we can be their role models. So my advice to them is to not segregate themselves, be part of the women's groups in terms of mentoring, but not to be divisive, but to be more inclusive, right? I think it's all in how you approach it.
Sorry, go ahead.
And just the other piece to that is to be the most qualified. I never wanted to get a job because I was a woman, or because I looked like a minority. I never wanted to be a statistic. I wanted to be the most qualified.
Gotcha. Yeah, so that whole aspect of continuing education,
Absolutely.
Yeah, you go on LinkedIn and people are proud of men and women, proud of what they've achieved, and you see the degrees and the certifications that follow their name and everything like that. So that's very important in security. Dr. Glenn Kitteringham has stressed that to me as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Absolutely.
very important.
And that's why I'm so passionate about IFPO and some of my other volunteer work, is because it really does lead to the professionalization of the industry, of security as a whole. Doing the research gives us a body of knowledge from which we can draw. So it's important that we use that for those certifications, and to be able to say that we have a body of knowledge, and we have common language, and we have best practices, and all those sorts of things that any real profession is based on.
You mentioned not being divisive, and you also mentioned the word segregation. Is there a point, should we reach a point in the future where we're not talking about women in security, but we're just talking about people in security, or is it necessary to continue to recognize women in the profession, specifically?
That's a great question. There's just a natural need to want to gather with and socialize with and be, a part of a group. I think there's nothing wrong with being part of a group or an association of like-minded, like people. It's when that goes to the part of segregating to where it has to be forced, I think, that it becomes an issue, that it becomes, that it kind of takes a turn for the worse, if you will. So for instance, the groups that focus on women in security, or the minority in security, it's great that they support each other. So you have like-minded people of groups that may have otherwise felt marginalized or truly been marginalized to them. But that's not to take away from the other groups that, or the other types, if you will, of people. You're right. It's really all people insecurity.
Hmm.
Now, is everyone going to get to that level of playing field? I don't know. Again, because it's really just a reflection of society. There are some jobs that are better suited for a particular type of person, and whether it's physical or mental capability, you can have that argument all day long, right? But I think we need to get to a point where people have the same access. And I think we're almost there. But again, I don't think it should be to where you get a position because they need a quota, right? I have to have 50% women because it's a reflection of 50% of our population. I personally, and this is just the world according to Linda, not trying to make a political statement, I just would never want to think that I got into a position or earned something because I got there because of a quota, because somebody was checking a box.
Gotcha. So you're talking about then a meritocracy. It's based on your merit.
Exactly.
Well, you did mention security being a reflection of society, and I would say drilling down even further, the IFPO being a reflection of that as well. And you're chair of the board. You got Sandy Davies, who is our executive director, and then Bonnie Michaelman, who's also on the board. She's a board member. All three of you having achieved or received the Karen Marquez Award, a very prestigious award for women in security. I mean, that
it's right
there it is. I don't know if that was your PhD. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's a great achievement for all three of you, and so, where do you see the IFPO going? Do you see more women getting involved?
I would like to see more women get involved, because I think it's a recognition for not only the IFPO, but that women coming into the profession also need to come in and understand that it takes work. You got to get there by merit. And it's a stepping stone, right? It's to prove your competency. I always say it takes competency, courage, and commitment. Those are my favorite words, and no excuses. So one way to prove your competency is through certification, whether it's IFPO, ASIS, the other ones that are out there, whatever. Getting those certifications proves your competency. As a hiring manager, when I see that someone has certifications or some sort of education, I'm probably going to look to them before someone who has the same experience without the certifications, because it tells me that they went the extra level to prove their competence.
So it really does, kind of set you above the crowd a bit.
It does, absolutely. And to speak to the point that you mentioned about IFPO being a reflection of society, that's exactly why you have certification exams, because the items, the questions reflect what's going on, right? So you're asking questions related to what would you do if, and how does this work? So basically you're asking questions about kind of processes and theories and concepts that relate to security. Well, as security changes and those things get updated, you're basically reflecting the fact that they know how to respond and what to do, and how things are supposed to work. So that's how it reflects society, and that's how our profession reflects it. I mean, we look at security now very differently than we did 20 years ago. I mean, now we look at more from an enterprise risk management perspective, where we're looking at it as a business process. And it's getting that understanding not only to people that are in our profession, but also to others, that the business of security is actually a business itself. Whether you're being paid for your services or you're part of a proprietary organization, it has to fit into the business model. So you have to look at it from a risk perspective.
Gotcha. So if anyone would like to converse with you, maybe get a little bit of advice, can they do that? Is that something that they can do? They can maybe shoot you an email or something like that, or?
Oh, most certainly. Yeah. My email is out there. It's public. You're welcome to put it up there. I'm more than happy to talk to members and potential certificates. Absolutely. I would welcome that.
Great. Okay. So I'll, yeah, we'll let the folks know. I'll put it in the description, if anybody wants to send you one, and maybe has a question about what direction they should take in their career or something like that. I think.
Certainly, and I'm on LinkedIn. Send me a note. Happy to chat with you there as well.
Great.
Get the opportunity, Ted.
Well, Doctor, thanks so much for doing this Zoom. I really appreciate it, and hopefully it'll serve as an inspiration to to women out there, whether they're already in the profession or whether they're considering it. Hopefully it'll serve as an inspiration to them.
I hope so. I really do.